What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dunk on AP podcast. Today, we're going to be continuing in our What's Up With series, and we're going to be talking What's Up with Africa, really through the course of AP World. So, before 1200, Africa was already a mix of civilizations. So, you've got the Ghana Empire that really dominated West Africa's gold and salt trade. Axum in East Africa, which traded with Rome and India, and Bantu migrations that spread language, agriculture, and ironworking across the continent. And remember the big thing here, because of the widespread growth of bananas, that's going to allow that language and that migration to sort of happen all the way down Africa. By 1200, Africa is deeply interconnected, both within itself and with the wider Islamic world in particular. So West Africa from 1200 to the 1600s, you have the Mali Empire, which was 1235 into the 1400s, and this is Mansa Musa, who's going to flood Cairo with gold on his Hajj. So Mali is considered a consolidated power using Islam, tribute system, and griots to preserve legitimacy. And these were storytellers. So they also controlled trans-Saharan trade routes, gold out, salt, and Islam in, and then the the Hausa city states. So this was a network of independent trade hubs, culturally Islamic, politically autonomous, with strong female rulers in some areas. Now, in southern Africa, you've got the Great Zimbabwe, the 1100s to 1450. So this was a monumental stone city, a trade hub for gold and ivory, and it was part of the Indian Ocean trade network linked to the Swahili coast. Then in East Africa, you had the Swahili city-states like Kilwa, Mombasa, and Zanzibar. So these were cosmopolitan Swahili-speaking cities where Arab, Persian, and African cultures blended. These were key nodes in the Indian Ocean trade, exporting gold, ivory, slaves, and importing porcelain, spices, and textiles. So the people who really collected taxes and held power. So you had Mansas in Mali who received tribute from the vassals. You had local chiefs and elders who often collected goods and labor. And then you had Islamic legal scholars who sometimes administered courts and taxation, especially in the city. So during this time period, really like 1200 into the 1450s, what you have with Africa is kingdoms that are much more decentralized than somewhere like Japan, or even the Arab countries, or not the Arab countries, but the Arab kingdoms that were under the rule of Dar al-Islam. Now, from 1450 to 1750, European powers like Portugal, Spain, Britain, and France are going to expand into West Africa's coast to access gold and slaves. So Africans weren't just they weren't just passive victims. Many African states, like the Kingdom of the Congo, were active participants, trading slaves for guns, textiles, and alcohol. So this really is going to be a defining feature of Africa from 1450 to 1750, particularly West Africa. You had the Asante, I'm sorry, let's start with the Kingdom of the Congo. Kingdom of the Congo is one of the most prominent African states in this area. In this era, they initially allied with Portugal, converted to Christianity, and even sent ambassadors to Europe. But tensions arose because King Afonso protested the slave trade's effects on his people. Eventually, Congo's independence declined under increasing Portuguese control. Then the Asante Empire used wealth from the gold trade and firearms, and this is founded in 1670, by the way, through European merchants to expand territory and control slave trading networks. The Swahili coast was still thriving in the Indian Ocean trade, but increasingly targeted by Portuguese naval power. Remember, the Portuguese were going to establish those trading post empires, and Kilwa and Mombasa were attacked or brought under European influence. So that's the big stuff that's happening in this point. Then you go to the colonial era in the 1800s and the 1900s. So the scramble for Africa at the 1884 Berlin Conference, it carved up Britain, France, Belgium, Portugal, often ignoring cultural and political boundary, really ignoring these ethnic and cultural boundaries. So it imposed cash crop economies too, railroads for resource export, particularly important for Europe, and indirect rule through local leaders. You get decolonization in the mid 1900s. You have Ghana in 1957 becomes the first sub-Saharan African country to gain independence. And then others follow, like Kenya, Nigeria, Algeria, Angola, and beyond. This is often accompanied by great conflict, especially in settler colonies like Algeria, Rhodesia, and Zimbabwe. So borders for colonization still cause tension. Some countries thrive. Rwanda's gotten better. Ghana's got a democracy. Others struggle with debt, corruption, neo colonialism via global corporations and foreign loans. So that's kind of the big thing. There's now ongoing debates about China's economic role in Africa, and reclaiming of cultural heritage that was taken during colonization. So that's what's up with Africa in AP World.